What's up, you guys? This is Thomas McElroy, one half of the production crew, Foster and McElroy, and you're listening to The Break It Down Show.
Hey, on today's show, we're going to hear part 2 of our conversation with the great Tommy McElroy.
Talking about Tony, and Vogue.
Yep. And our special guest host, James Early.
Tommy's going to say, I was kind of just doing it in Club Nouveau.
Yep.
Then I got serious.
I
mean, this is a guy that tore it down. I mean, He has memorable songs, and he was just goofing.
But they put their noses to the grindstone.
Yeah.
They held some auditions.
Found 4 ladies that can blow.
Yep. Amazing, amazing ladies, and went to work.
Yeah.
And created some history.
Yeah. What En Vogue song stands out? Like when you think of En Vogue?
You know what? Just when you said that, the first thing that popped in my head was Free Your Mind.
Me too.
Man.
Me too. Yeah.
That was such a great song for every reason. I mean, it was danceable, it was funky, it was gritty, it showcased the ladies, and it made a social statement.
It did. And
it started with one, here it goes.
Yeah.
Which is always good. So we hope you enjoyed part 2, and here it is. Tommy McElroy coming at you.
So it was great energy going into that Tony project because I knew those guys and I knew they were great musicians and we got along. I respected them.
Yeah.
I felt like the promoter in me or the intelligent person in me knew that they were marketable and it was a privilege for me to work with them. That's how I felt. You know, as much as maybe they learned from me, I learned from them too. And you see what they went on and did.
Man.
You know, I did Dwayne working with Alicia Keys and Beyonce, all kind of Ray working with D'Angelo, Mary J. Blige, everybody. And man, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm loving the music that they're making, first of all.
Right.
And other than that, I know where they came from.
Yes.
I know when Ray only had 3 strings on his bass and couldn't afford to get another bass string.
And everybody gets to do it.
Yeah, and they're doing what they like to do.
Yeah.
And so we all helped each other propel each other forward. You know, so it's like I'm always doing this in appreciation that I can do it at all. I'm always honored to be a part of this fraternity of people that say they work in music, not necessarily the music business, because I'll chop all their heads off at any moment. But people that do music, you know, and
that create music
and do it for the love, I'm always down with them and trying to help them. But, you know, when you get into the business aspects, that's when money starts flying and things get a little different. Yeah, we all want to get paid, but, you know, capitalism has its, you know, evils. So it's like you have to deal with that too, and you deal with the best way possible. And that's usually the root of all fractures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man.
So.
Well, I got a couple of points. Number one, we are definitely respectful of your time. And I told you I was going to take up an hour, and we took up an hour. But we haven't even begun to talk about the stuff we want to talk about.
We got another 30 minutes.
Okay. Such a rich history, man. Such a rich history.
I'll let you just ask questions now.
Well, no, I don't even want to do that because we just want to just let.
Let me interrupt then.
Do it, please.
And you know, I have to speak on what Club Nouveau, what Tommy and Denny meant to us in the circle of musicians, the fraternity you spoke of. You know, I was already working with Felton and being mentored by Felton, but also had quickly become Felton's production partner, young apprentice, but moved up into being his production partner. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in the studio working with Felton in Vallejo while a lot of stuff was already happening. I already been going to the clubs as a young man, hadn't had any success as a musician, but I was working. And I'd go to the clubs at night, and you get there, and most of the songs that were being played at that time were Club Nouveau.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, Jealousy, all of that stuff,
Absolutely.
all night long, too. It wasn't just for 30 minutes or whatever, but for the entire 4 or 5 hour experience at the club, you're hearing Rumors, you're hearing Jealousy and all these songs.
Yeah.
And so it was a big deal what they'd done coming up out of the Bay Area, you know, Tommy and Denny. And so
that's no joke because I used to go to this club when there were 2 places that we went as kids. I'm just a couple years younger than you. And when before we could get into a real bar, we used to go to this place in Walnut Creek called Tiffany's.
Okay.
And then we went to this place in Fairfield called Pure Energy. And you used to walk in those places and it was Club Nouveau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never knew any of
I
that.
mean, you,
Yeah.
your those sounds and those licks that you came up with cemented our youth and our
yeah, I do know
our
that.
hunt for chicks.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I told Dwayne, and I said, Dwayne, I'm going to say this with all humility because you're very important in my life. You understand?
Right. I remember
I've
that.
been married and I've been with my wife since before we got married. If I count all the times that we celebrate the anniversary of when we first went on our first date and our wedding anniversary. So at the very least, I'm positive you've gotten me laid 44 times. If I just count those. And, you know, I mean, that was, you know, those defining sounds that you can relate to because they're always, you know, when you go through your life and you have those recollections of the important moments, two things to me trigger those recollections, and that is like the smell of your grandma's house or the sounds. And the thing that's most easy to recreate is the sound, of course. So now if we go back and we play some of those sounds, all the memories that come rushing back.
That's the soundtrack.
That's the magic of that music, because I always tell people you're capturing time.
Yeah.
You're capturing time.
Yep.
So music is so mathematical, it connects with the math that's in our bodies. And I'm not a good mathematician, but I know patterns really well.
Right.
I got an A in geometry and a D in algebra and everything else, but I know patterns.
Right.
So I know the patterns in music. I know about the numbers in music. So that connection is way deeper than you think. And then you don't know it until you hear it again. And then you're like, damn, I can remember exactly where I was, or I remember what I had on. I remember the smell, the lights.
Yeah.
That one girl I wanted to
one
talk
girl,
to that
man.
night. It takes you there. And that's because you're capturing a moment.
Yeah.
You're capturing a moment. When you do music, I'm playing it, ding, ding, ding. You recorded it. That moment is gone,
It's
but
gone,
you got
but
it.
you have it,
But you got it. And that's part of the magic that people don't understand about why music affects them the way it does.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling like my mom just passed away and I write a song out of that emotion and then somebody else hears it, they're going to feel it.
It's going to resonate.
It's going to resonate because that feeling is getting transferred.
Right.
And that's part of the math that we can't figure out. That's a part of our humanness, you know, and that's how a part of our communication, that even if there's no lyrics and you hear a song, that you feel what the guy is trying to express.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's the same thing like if you heard that Club Nouveau song in the club back in the day, and you hear it now, you're like, dang, I remember. Oh, man, I was so young. Blah, 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 blah. I had high top fade. I was looking crazy with the leather pants.
Man, that girl looked so good. She had her waist was all the way up.
Right.
Here.
The poofed out hair. So, I mean, I hear what James is saying. The funny thing is that, like I said, I'm such that guy in the cave. I was never in the club to hear that.
Right.
I was always at home on my computer on the piano or hanging out with my girlfriend or going to a concert or something like that. I'm just not a club guy because of how I've been conditioned over the years from my martial arts too.
Yeah.
So I had a few bad incidents in some
and it's
clubs.
not a great place to be if you're in tune with your vulnerability.
My wife gets on me all the time about not going out.
Yeah.
You know, I'm conditioned. If I'm out sometimes, unless I'm just totally relaxed, I'll be looking at the door, put my back, and who's this guy? Who's that? You know, it's just, I've been conditioned, and sometimes it's bad and sometimes it's good. But even back then I was like that. But I was mostly at home studying, you know, for the next record.
Yeah.
Or for the next situation 5 years out from where I am then. So I never got a chance to experience it like that. So it was good for me because it kept me humble anyway. Yeah. Not that I have that kind of ego, but I don't like people telling me, oh, man, you're great. I just like people telling me, oh, that sounds good. Because that's what I want it to be.
Right.
You know, I want it to just sound good and have you like it. I don't want them to tell me that I'm like, man, you a legend. Like, I ain't no legend.
Well, you know, on that note,
I know what you mean.
What I wanted to say, though, and I mean this with love, you know, having Tommy and Denny do what they did was such a big deal. I was saying at that time.
Yeah.
And so when they came through, you guys came through to visit Felton one day. I was in the studio working with him just before the Hammer stuff kind of took off. And you guys just came through to say hi, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, wow, those are the guys from Club Nouveau. Wow, what a trip. And they were like, hey, how you doing? You know, and then they got into visiting with Felton. They hung out with them. And I didn't see them again probably for a year. The next time I ran into you guys was at the Grammys. I think about a year later. By then we had been invited to industry stuff. I started to see them at different industry functions a lot.
Yeah.
And then that's when we really started to kind of, I guess, click in a way. But it was really important for me still as a young man because at, like you said, 21, 22, 23, I didn't have too many guys that looked like me that had that kind of success.
Right.
And when it happens to you, you don't really know what to do with it.
Right.
So when you can look up and see somebody else that's your age and your peer group having success and handling it.
Right.
You know,
just being normal.
Just being normal. Yeah. Because like you said, it's nice to go in some places. I mean, some people blow a tree if that's what they do. I don't right now. But it's nice to go into certain places and be around people that are just clean, living clean, and they're about business, they're about the future. And Tommy and Denny were always
and thinking clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
fantastic businessmen, always had great advice, and it's always been pleasant to be around these guys.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I think that has cemented our friendship, James, is that there's a certain depth of thinking that we enjoy, and we're always reflecting on things, and we get attracted to the people in our lives who mean something like that to us. So it's really nice because as I've gotten to know Dwayne, you know, he's such a nice guy, and you can really, we've talked to him in those situations where you just get to talk about something that really matters, you know, and the way people feel about people and things like that. And when you can appreciate somebody's music and like it, that's one thing. But then when you realize that their music really did come from their heart. And these things are really what you thought of this music, because so much of the art that we go back to and then we realize, you know, we get disappointed because we have a piece of art, whatever it was, and you find out, well, that wasn't about what I thought it was about. You know, and when you find out that it is a very reinforcing feeling, and it's a piece of humanity that is important.
So the thing that's funny too, just to enlighten you on just how my thought process on things like that too, is like how when I come up with stuff, like in the beginning, I was such an artist, you know, as a kid, that other side of me with the classical music and jazz, that I took top 40 stuff as a joke. That wasn't serious music to me at all. You know, I kind of had that elitist kind of jazz guy kind of thing. Whereas, you know, popular music wasn't. So when I was in Club Nouveau helping Denny and doing all this other stuff,
you were just messing around.
It was like finger painting for me. You know, not that it was, but that's what's in my mind. I was like, oh, this is easy. I can do this. But I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to do it differently from those guys because I really can't do that. But I never took Club Nouveau that serious. I never took Tony that serious until the stuff came out and people liked it. And then I was like, you know, I better start taking this a little more serious, even though, like, I'm serious about what I do. Maybe I should start giving it a little more thought, you know, about it, because I'm doing it so easy, you know. But it's
just
not,
imagine what could be there if you really thought about it.
But it's not easy because I've spent many hours. It's just easy now. I've conditioned myself to whip this stuff out like this.
It comes easy to you.
It's easy for me at that point. So I'm not taking it that serious. Around the time we did like Why You Treat Me So Bad, and then we got into like Don't Talk About Me on Tony. And then by the time we got into In Vogue, that's when I was like more serious about, like, I'm about to, it wasn't just like an ego, like, oh, let's get it, or yeah, let's do this, Denny, I'm with you. It was like, oh, we're really doing something and people are digging it. I can really branch out now. I can really, you know, I can do whatever. A whole door opened.
People are listening.
People are listening, and now I'm like, I got to take this a little more serious. I don't know how long this is gonna last, so let me like be tricky and sample some Wynton Marsalis, or let me put this real dissonant chord that shouldn't go there, and just like hit it like it's a sample, or sample it into the SP and hit it, or, you know, let me take this James Brown sample and chop it. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm about to do this because I've always wanted to do it. The other stuff was like for Club Nouveau and all that was improvised. A lot of that was that that was, I didn't think about anything. I just played it first take, then corrected it, improvised. By the time I got to In Vogue, those were concepts that new concepts that I worked on and then put all the production on. So Hold On was like, I wanted to do something like Eric B. and Rakim or somebody else in hip hop at that time. I was a big Marley Marl fan. I was like, I want to do something like Marley. And so I got on the SP and I sampled some stuff up and then put the 808 and, you know, then Denny came with that bass line, boom, 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 boom. And then once we got that, it sat for a second. And then after that, he added some vocals. And then once he added the vocal, I was like, okay, where should I go with this? Then I'm thinking, I'm not improvising anymore. I'm thinking and conceptualizing.
Yeah.
I want this to be like a quartet, a jazz quartet. I'm envisioning 4 guys, but with singers, like the Andrews sisters. So I went and sampled Wynton Marsalis. I can't remember the name of the song, but it was in 3/4. The song was in 4/4, but I did it in a way so I could make. I sampled that, fit it in there, and just started mashing stuff up like I always do. Little Kraftwerk, a little Thelonious Monk, a little Art of Noise. I just like I got to get this concept right. So that song, Hold On, I was like dead serious. I wasn't going to do anything until it was right.
Yeah, what Tommy's speaking of is him and Denny were one of the original innovators of the marriage of hip hop and R&B.
That's true.
And it was brand new, not that many people did it.
That's
and the ones that tried, in most cases, were messing it up.
Yeah,
because a lot of the hip hop guys weren't at that time real musicians.
Right.
They were okay.
So they
with
fell short with the R&B.
Yeah, they couldn't musically bring it together right. But these musical minds here of Denny and Tommy were able to do it.
There's a certain hipness though too. Like at that time when I got serious, you know, there's a certain hipness. Like I'm going to sample Wynton Marsalis. You know. That muted trumpet.
And see who's in on the joke.
Yeah. That muted trumpet sounds like Miles Davis.
Yeah.
Somebody that listens to jazz is going to dig that.
Right.
You know, I'm going to have the string go and climb like that Kraftwerk record. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to infer what I'm listening to. And I'm going to mash it all up with these girls that are singing these harmonies. That was Denny. Denny is the vocal master on that stuff, but I'm gonna mash it up with that. So conceptually, at that time, that's when I got deadly serious. Popular music is just as serious as jazz and classical.
Right.
It's just as serious. So you have to take it just as serious.
You embraced it as your art form.
That's what I did.
I'm gonna take this. And I'm gonna do all that I can.
So at that point forward, even till today, you know, I had a lot more respect for people that were doing popular music like, you know, Stevie Wonder, even though I knew they were bad, but I didn't realize that Stevie Wonder is just as bad as Mozart.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize Marvin Gaye was just as badder than Pavarotti, you know, and other classical singers or jazz singers. That's when I kind of was like, everybody has something that they do that's bad, and it's all on a level where it needs to be respected. So before that, you know, I didn't even respect popular music, even though I was doing it and we had hit records. I was like, man, that Club Nouveau, that ain't that ain't Earth, Wind and Fire. You know, it's not. You know, it's okay. It's, you know, but by the time we got to In Vogue and did all of that, it was a different story.
Yeah. Did any of that have anything to do with the fact that people were in for the ride by then? Because the thing about the attention was still new to you when you were in Club Nouveau. By the time En Vogue came around, you had listeners who were saying, these guys are going to take me on a ride, and I want to go on this ride.
Yeah. Again, the nerd in me was just, I'm in my lab.
Mush up sounds.
I'm in my lab, and first and foremost, I'm doing it for the love.
Yeah.
And the whatever I resonate with musically from when I was a kid, listening to my father play the organ. And him rehearsing, all that resonating, smelling the Leslie, you know, speaker and tripping off the tubes. And, you know, that was just where I was in my little world.
Right.
But becoming a young man and having maturing and knowing what's hip in the world, being into women and trying to get respect. I was taking what I was doing more serious. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So when I get in my thing, I get in a zone.
Right.
With everything I do, I get in a zone. It's life or death.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to finish this song if it kills me. And I'm really thinking that. Yeah. I'm not going to the bathroom for 3 hours. I'm not eating. I'm not going to put my clothes on today. I'm going to get this until I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I just, once I get in a zone, that's just part of my personality. I think that comes from when I was a kid, spending so much time by myself. So it wasn't about, the ride or anything until after I finish it and we finish it and it's right. Okay. Then it's like, oh, they're going to like it. They're going to love this. They better like it. I hope they like it. It's like that. So.
But by then you liked it. And
that's the most
had to have that
thing.
Sense that by the time I like it,
right,
everybody else is going to jump.
Yeah, that's the most important thing for Denny and I.
Yeah.
So if we dig it and we get it, because we chop it up so much before it becomes a final product.
Yeah.
If we like it, we're gauging it by ourselves, by what we like. We think they're going to like it. And at that point, the record companies were entrusting us to be like tastemakers. Like, this is the new stuff. These guys know what's going on.
By then, you were the tastemaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not an easy thing. It comes easy to us to make music and create music. But what is truly difficult and truly magical even is to get a hit. See, a hit record means that everybody loves what you did.
They
not
dug
just
it.
You.
Yeah.
I like it. I like most of what I do, even if I shouldn't. But to get other people, strangers, people in Africa and Australia to like what I'm doing, even love it. I mean, I've had people approach me teary-eyed about my music.
Right.
And people that I don't even know. I'm meeting them for the first time. And they're like, wow, your song really helped me through a tough time. So it's really an honor to do something. It's magic. And their accomplishments are really, I mean, it's rare when you have guys that make as many hits as that you've had.
Right.
Hit after hit after hit, especially with En Vogue. Yeah. I mean, everything that En Vogue did pretty much is beloved by everyone.
And that's when we had gotten serious about everything. And, I was always the type of guy, when I was a kid, I remember we went to a karate tournament. We had like $30. The kids had $30 each. And we went to the karate tournament in Long Beach, and the instructor handed out the money. And they were like, at the end of the trip, they were like checking the chart to see who had their money. They were like, oh, Gerald, $5. Kevin, $10 in the hole. Tommy, $15. So I'm looking at this as a whole concept. I'm doing music. I'm managing my life. I'm managing my money. So when I looked at artists like, at that point, I'm a full-fledged producer. I'm looking at the whole concept. Now that I'm done the music, this group, En Vogue, we're trying to put together something that we got these people looking at us that gave us a production deal. I want something that's going to be the best thing on the label.
Yeah.
I want to put together something that's the best thing on the label. I don't want to just be on the label.
Right.
They got all this hip hop stuff. They got all this other stuff. I want our stuff to be the best. Denny had the same attitude. So when we put En Vogue together, Denny was like, hey, I want to do a girl group. We should do them like, like these 3 girls and blah, blah, blah. It should be like Patti LaBelle, Diana Ross, and Gladys Knight. I remember
you guys conceptualized your dream team.
Yeah.
And then went out and looked for them.
And then we did the audition, called in these girls. People were bringing in girls, and not a whole bunch of girls showed up. But we were on it like that.
Yeah.
We were going to do this rehearsal. We were going to put it together. We were going to make them like those 3 female artists we talked, I just mentioned, with hip-hop beats. And we had discussed the whole concept. So we got the girls. The rehearsal, the audition was something else too, because I think Dawn came in, and then Max came in, and they all were sitting there kind of standing, some other girls, and Cindy came in. I was like, oh, that's Cindy Heron, because at that time Cindy was on TV too. Right, previous year she was on a show on PBS called Coming Up. So a lot of guys in the Bay Area, it was her and another girl on that show. A lot of guys had crushes on Cindy.
Sure.
Cindy was fine.
What's not to crush on?
Well, she was a beauty queen, too.
Yeah, and she was Miss California. I didn't know that at the time, but Cindy was fine.
Yeah.
She came in. I recognized her from the TV show. I was like, oh, that's that's baby from the TV show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like, oh, she looks good. I hope she can sing. So we tried them out on this track, Waiting on You, that we have for our album. And they blended perfectly. And I started looking at them. I'm like, damn, they all look like they kind of go together. It was Cindy, Max, and Dawn, and another girl there. And the other girl didn't fit, so she didn't really make it. So we had these three girls say, all right, we're going to do this album. They look good. They're beautiful. They're not super fine, like model fine. They're like girls at the school that you want to try to talk to.
Right,
fine.
they're approachable.
Yeah,
fine.
Exactly. That was by design.
Right.
So we're thinking,
girls.
yeah, they're like the girls that you might be able to get with.
Right.
You know, guy, the average dude.
I'm going to buy this record because I have a chance.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So
I got a shot.
I have a chance with Cindy Harris.
So the concept of production and making a record at that point was so serious that we were thinking beyond just the music, thinking about the concept of how people looked. And even though I thought about that before, but it was solidified and serious at that point with In Vogue. So,
But it was a trio at that time.
It was a trio at that time. And one more girl that didn't make it to the audition wanted to come. I was like, man, who is this coming? So she came. She had missed her flight or something. She came the next day. That was Terry. She came to our office and came in looking like a little secretary or something, hair in a bun.
Oh, boy.
And then she was like, I want to sing something. She had the Texas accent. I want to sing something. I don't know what I want to sing, blah, blah, blah. Being all shy, big old eyes, skinny. And then I was like, all right. But I don't want you guys to look at me when I sing. I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't want me
to go on stage.
I don't want you guys. Can I sing behind this little thing? And then we had like the little cubicle thing, like can I sing? I was like, oh God, here we go. And she went behind the thing.
So you decided to suffer this.
Yeah, this is here we go. These girls think they're cute and gonna be in a group. Can't even sing in front of anybody. So then he was like, all right, we'll set it up. He put it over there. And she started singing behind. I can't remember what she sang, but it was like a Natalie Cole song or something. And we started looking at each other. I was like, man.
She's over here singing.
She can sing. She can really sing. I was like, damn near tearing up. I was like, damn. And then he was like, oh, but we already got 3 girls. I was like, forget that. We got 4.
Yeah.
We got 4. That way, when they sing on stage, the 3 can do the harmonies and the lead can be in the front. He was like, oh yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So In Vogue was born through our concept in that audition and us being innovative as far as wanting to do something with harmonies, old school harmonies, for lead singers and music for me that was simple, but that like really made a statement.
Right.
Like I was really keen at that point of not putting more than 5 parts in the production, but every part had to make a statement.
Yeah.
I was really keen on the sound of each part being a character because I was always looking at albums of jazz musicians and going to Keystone Corner with my brother when I was a kid, and I would see dudes that looked like giants on their instruments. And I always wanted my instruments that I played or the parts that I played to sound like giants, or like, damn, how did he come up with that part? Or what is that? Because that's what I would do. How did he play that? You know, how did he make his bass sound like that? How did he get? I would want people or musicians. I couldn't play like other musicians, like laying and big chorus, certain voicing. Yeah. But I could like lay parts that you're like, where did he get that from?
Right.
You know, where did he get that sound, or how did he do that? So my concept then was just much
a whole
broader.
record
the
of
whole
that.
Record, the album, the group. Denny, we got together. How do they dress? The video. We don't want the regular old videos. We got to come through smash. So we were full-blown producer businessmen at that point.
And you had a concept from soup to nuts. And
that's right.
It was about getting the baddest.
Getting the best. And but not so much, like I said, there were a lot of video girls and stuff, you know, that wanted to be in the group. We were like, I don't want the skinny, tall. We want girls that are kind of thick a little bit. The girls that we kind of like, that we might want to get at.
If you like the show,
and you know you do,
send us some pictures of your boobies.
Don't do that. Support the show.
There are 3 ways you can support us.
Number 1, go to iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And leave a 5-star rating and review.
It helps with the show metrics and helps us get better placement. Number 2,
Visit our website.
www.breakitdownshow.com.
We've got an Amazon and an eBay link.
Same Amazon, same eBay, you know and love, but they give us a little kickback when you get to their site from ours. And number 3, leave comments about the shows that you like. We want to know what you think, how you feel.
Tell us how to make the show better. We greatly appreciate it.
Now back to the show.
We like boobies.
Right.
What's truly noteworthy as well is it was like a group made from the heavens because, not only are these gorgeous girls, they already certainly satisfied that.
Right.
But they could easily choose any one of them to be the lead singer of the group.
That's what we
in most groups,
4 lead singers.
Most groups didn't have that. Most groups it was only one.
Right.
It's not to say the other people couldn't sing, but they were nowhere near the ability of one of the lead singers or the lead singer that the group had.
Right.
But in the case with En Vogue, you were able to interchange that at any point.
By design.
It was like the Super Friends.
Right. It was by design. Exactly. Yeah. And Cindy and Terry blew us away in the audition. Terry late, but then we noticed Max had a certain low quality in her voice.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
She has kind of a lower voice, so in the harmony she can. And then just hearing a woman sing kind of in the lower register sometimes is cool, but she could go up too.
Yeah.
But she could handle the lower notes.
Right.
And then Dawn, I noticed a quality in her voice, which was a fragile type of thing. Like she was always kind of on edge, and I noticed it right away.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost cracking, but I'm not cracking it. And I don't mean cracking it as far as the tone. I'm just mentally.
Right.
It's like I could hear it in her voice when she talked and when she sang. I could hear like I'm on edge and emotionally, and I could hear it, and I liked that in her voice, and Denny did too. We were blessed to get those 4 people together.
Yeah, it wasn't just
well.
Tonal qualities, but emotional qualities.
Emotional quality. And like I said, I'm a sound person, been like that since I was a kid. So I'll listen to somebody's voice and hear 3 or 4 tones in it. I can hear that together in the tone of their voice. So whenever I'm listening to a vocalist, I developed that over the years. I noticed it and developed it over the years. But when I listen to a person's voice, I'm listening for certain things just like I'm listening with any other instrument.
Right.
And I hear emotion, or I hear tone, or I hear vulnerability, or whatever it might be in their voice, because I know that's going to resonate with somebody.
Mm-hmm. And it affects the choices that you make when you write.
When you write for them, that's exactly. Or the music you write for them, as far as what I was doing. Because a lot of things I was doing for them because I knew it would fit with their voices. So, like I said, at that time, as far as what was going on in my head, I was conceptually pretty solid at that point and becoming more of a businessman to deliver a full product to the record company. Denny and I, because I couldn't do nothing without Denny. That's really my other half. Like what I don't do well, he does well.
Yeah.
What I do well, he doesn't do well. Like Denny is like the spender. I'm the saver. He's the guy that's cutting the trees with the machete. I'm the guy that's coming behind. Hey, look out over there, man.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we have a Kirk and Spock thing. So conceptually, we matured together musically.
And you understood those roles as you matured them.
Yeah. And our personalities fit. As I said, even today, that's my big brother.
Yeah.
That's my dude. So I'm always helping him out. He's always helping me out, even though we're not from the same family. We're family because just somehow kindred spirits met. And Denny, it's funny too, because Denny, when we first met and we started working on music, he said, man, his car broke down. He was catching a bus in my house. Oh, man, I met this lady at the bus stop. And she said, don't worry, you're going to be all right. She knew how to read people. And she said, you work in music, don't you? He was like, yeah. And she was like, don't worry, you're going to be all right. You work with another guy. And he was like, yeah. It's like, you guys are going to do well. Don't worry.
I wonder where that lady is.
Fortune teller. Sounds like she was.
I want that lady to give me some words.
Now, when he told me that, when we first started, when he first told me that, I was like, shut up, man. Stop eating my bananas over there at my mother's kitchen. Come on, let's work. I was like that. Man, shut up, man. And then 25 years later, more than 25 years later.
Did you remember it or did he bring it back up?
No, I remember that.
Yeah.
We talked about that as we went along.
Right.
But I remember that forever.
Man.
But I've known Denny since I was 19.
Yeah.
And we're still working together? Well,
Right.
We still work together. If we've had fights, drag out, that's still my boy. But we're always fighting, going in the right direction. We're not going apart from each other.
Right.
We're fighting to go forward.
That's right.
You know, so I could do nothing. I would be nowhere without Denny.
Man.
Yeah, but Denny would say that about you too. I already know that. He's told me that.
And I'm sure they're both right.
Yeah, I know they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like yin and yang.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So you guys have a new En Vogue record.
Yeah, we just finished it. We may add some more songs. But we just did 10 songs, and they're really good.
Okay.
The name of the album is Electric Cafe, and we took a different approach musically. A lot of people might think it is R&B because we're all have an R&B base, but Denny listens to a lot of different stuff. I listen to a lot of different stuff right now. Like I like Cage the Elephant, Arctic Monkeys, Fantagram. I like that kind of stuff. I like innovative alt rock.
Yeah.
And some hip hop. I still like hip hop. I hate rap. But every now and then there's a song even somebody's rapping on that I have to be like, damn, that's nice. Yeah. That track is nice. So this album reflects mainly a lot of alt rock. You hear a little Sam Smith in there. You hear a little Fantagram. You hear a little Disclosure. You hear a lot of stuff that they haven't touched on before, but it's still in vogue as far as those vocals and the harmonies you get.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
It's nice to see when you have artists, especially because you guys brought them together and you had a vision.
Right.
But the vision, not only did the vision fully mature in the sense that it became the vision that you had in mind, but it matured beyond that. It matured in its own.
Yeah.
So now to hear that there's an En Vogue record and that it's a new direction.
Right.
With the musical maturity and the solidity that comes with the time that you guys have all done.
Yeah. I think we're all veterans now.
Yeah.
Especially the girls because they're constantly on the road. I'm always tinkering on with my keyboards or in the studio or doing something in the time that between now and the last album. I played on a lot of stuff. I've worked with, matter of fact, I didn't mention, I worked with Big Frida and a whole bunch of other people that are on the electro scene. And some artists, Big Frida is has a #1 reality show on Fuse.
Wow.
And I did his whole last album by default, but I did do his whole album. And, I fall into stuff like that in between. My main Big Frida is like a 6'2" gay guy from New Orleans who does this obscure electro music called bounce from New Orleans that everybody like twerks to and everything else. And you would never associate me with that from En Vogue.
Yeah.
But I enjoy doing that just as much as I do enjoy doing En Vogue. And it fulfills me in a different kind of way because this is something that I didn't think I could do or didn't think I could help him out in any way. But I dug what he had done before. And somebody brought it and said, hey, you need to check this out. And I was like, I don't know. And then I listened to the music, and good music trumps all with me.
Yep.
So, I can.
And the sound nerd came out.
Right. Exactly. So, all that, I even threw a little bounce on the En Vogue stuff. There's some stuff with some claps and some up-tempo stuff. All that influences what I do with all my music. And I plan on actually getting those two, En Vogue and Big Frida, together. But we're all veterans. They've been working. I've been working. Denny's been managing producers in L.A. Denny and I still do stuff, sometimes get to talk about concepts. Even if we're not working, we're always talking about what we may do. Yeah. Oh, it would be cool if we did this and did that. So I'm always thinking. Denny's always thinking. The girls are always working. So when we got together, everybody was pretty much seasoned.
It fell in step.
Fell in right. Yeah, nobody was out of step. The energy was great. It's Cindy, Terry, and Rona, who is a new member. Dawn and Max aren't there. They're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Dawn left the group. I don't know what year it was. But Dawn was always wanted to do her own thing. She wasn't satisfied with the situation, I guess, and she wanted to break out and do her own thing. So she, went and did a couple of solo joints. She got with Dre's Camp for a minute and a few other people, and she's finding her way. Max, I think, same thing. She wanted to break out and do her thing. And Cindy and Terry wanted to do an album with us. You know, they trust us, and Don and Max didn't necessarily want to do that. And I'm not, you know, we're cool. I'm cool with Don and Max. They're trying to do something different, and I wish them, you know, all the best. But Cindy and Terry called us, like, we want you guys to do this. You know, we might even be able to get you a check. So it's like, as soon as they said check, I was like, yeah, check me in.
Like check.
Check me in. I don't have to do it for free and lose money. Yeah, because that's what we've been doing. You know, Denny and I were fronting all the money and then losing or whatever or winning. But they were like, hey, we're going to hire you guys to do it. We want you guys to do it. So they called us, Cindy and Terry, and we went and got down for them the best way we could. And it really does sound good. You know, I can't let you guys hear anything, but it does sound good. And when you hear it, I think you'll be pleased. It's, to me, some of their best work overall. You know, some of their best work overall.
When do you think we might hear it?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's just a matter of putting it on the course now and making it.
We're working on some stuff now to get it out the right way.
Right.
We want to get it out the right way because it's a new day with music, and you don't have to do things the old way that you used to do it.
Yeah. So
you don't have to take these deals where you're basically getting pimped, and then somebody's forcing a square block into a round hole.
Yeah.
In Vogue is a pop supergroup, and we want to present them that way.
Right.
Whether they've had a hit record or not, we think this is good stuff, and we don't want to just have them in any kind of deal. I'd rather them put it out on their own and be on a label that doesn't understand them and want them to just be on a dead-end radio format that's not going to do anything for them. You know, I'm not worried about radio when I do music.
Yeah.
And neither is Denny. We're just trying to make good music for people that will enjoy it. So sometimes when
that's what gives it legs.
Yeah, and that's the short-term solution is let's format this stuff so it can get on black radio or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll sell this amount of units according to this amount of spins, and then we'll make our profit. And that day is done. We got all kind of other stuff out there that these girls can do and make money for themselves with. You can do licensing. You can sell stuff on your own on the internet. You know, there's satellite radio. There's all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can use your music in so many different ways besides getting it on the radio.
And plus, In Vogue still has a huge following.
They have a huge
They are beloved.
So they have options.
Fans.
They have options rather than just take a normal record deal. It could be a major or indie, but we're looking for the right deal for them right now. That's where it is right now. And we may add some other other songs to the record and fill it out. But we got a nice, complete record. And they sound and look good. That's the other thing. They still look good.
They've all held up very nicely.
They still, Cindy, all of them, Rona too. Every time I see them, I'm like, you guys, Cindy especially, they all look good, but I don't know what's up with Cindy.
Yeah.
She looked like every woman should look.
Uh-huh.
You know? I'm like, damn, my wife is fine, but Cindy's, Cindy's
gracious.
husband is lucky too.
Yeah.
You know?
She's an athlete though.
Yeah, Cindy's an athlete, but I'm just like, as far as if there's something needed in the marketplace right now, it's those three. Because you got a lot of ratchetness going on in the marketplace with black women right now. And then you look at these three looking good, being intelligent, being classy, sophisticated, talented, and actually talking about things that are relevant on their record, but also having fun on the record. That's really what the marketplace needs.
It really does. And I'm glad the record's good because it's important.
It's good quality. It's quality. It's quality. I've done stuff where I tried to make it work. You know what? I'm so crazy. All my records I've done, and then I look at or listen to later, I'm like, damn, I could have done that better. Or, that's not that great. This is one of them, I think. I always say that, and I'll say it on these two, but this one I think we got really, really, really close, on. So everybody's pretty much satisfied within the circle.
Wow.
And it's something I can be proud of. I don't care if it sells at all, and that's, once I do it, I let it go.
Yeah.
Because that's just my mechanism for dealing with if there's any rejection. But once I'm finished with it and I'm satisfied with it and put it out, I don't care if it sells at all. I'm just like, this is good. I like it. And I know somebody's going to like it. And if it sells, that's not on me. That's for somebody else to sell it. I'm not out there doing the selling. That's on you guys.
Yeah.
Do the selling. So that's my mechanism. And I've had that for years. Once I do it, I just let it go. Because I dealt with records I thought were good and then thinking they were going to sell, and then they didn't
And it
sell.
didn't happen?
And then I was like mad or whatever.
Isn't it funny to hear Tommy say, man, I had the record and it didn't sell? Because naturally you're in tune with your body of work, but I can't think of anything you've done that didn't sell.
Yeah, there's stuff. And then, like I said, there's records I've done that were hit records. Mm-hmm. I was like, that part is wrong.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's one of the things that Pete was talking about today. Yeah. He said, I'm really curious to know when you hear stuff that comes back. Well,
like when you listen to the Club Nouveau stuff, because it is 80s. I don't want to say it's dated, but it's had a time where it was relevant. And like, do you have like an urge? Like sometimes I'll go back and I'll read something that I wrote and I don't remember any of the words, and I'm like, hey, this is good. But other times I read it and I'm like, damn, this is terrible.
I wouldn't say any of the stuff was terrible, but I get so nerdish sometimes that I have to check myself and let things be organic like they're supposed to be. Then he helped me with that, like, for instance, on the Hold On record. Like, I did those drums, and that was really my first time doing a loop. So I programmed those drums, and they're flamming.
Yeah.
So the whole time they were mixing, I'm like listening to the snare, the second snare.
You were hearing the flam.
And I was like, Denny, that's flam. He's like, no, leave it. I was like, man, it's flamming. Let me correct it. He's like, no, that's the flavor. That's tight.
See, but there's something to that, though.
Yeah. He was right about that, though. I love the way that works.
When we're in the studio, actually, there's happy mistakes.
Right.
Something could happen that might be flamming, but then that might be the thing that makes it a hit.
It's like, I hear it now. And it's like, boom, boom, dum, dum. And I'm like, that's flamming, man.
Yeah. Well, honestly, while we're talking about it, I don't want to take apart your music because I love it all. But Rumors, and we all know about sampling.
Right.
The snare is like a fraction of a second late.
It's late.
It's late all the way through the song.
It's not late. It's behind
that song,
the beat.
Everyone loves Rumors.
It's behind the beat.
It's a classic.
Funky.
It was a huge hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if it's late, it was supposed to be.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
and if it had been shifted right, that might have made it so you couldn't do the Cabbage Patch the way you do to it.
But it's like you capture that moment.
Yeah.
You capture that moment, and that's where I was at that time. And I have to, like I said, catch myself because I might be a little more mature and have gotten a little more anal. So I have to just let stuff come out sometimes, just let it be what it is and trust myself, and then go back and listen to it. I'll correct a little bit, but don't take that feel because that's what it is. Then that's how it came out. And I've done that on a lot of records as far as going back.
Right.
And, damn, I could have did this, but I like that.
Yeah.
But some of those were hit records that millions of people liked.
Well, then Why You Treat Me So Bad was a part of that album you're talking about, and it got sampled into I Got 5 on it and became a hit again.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
It's a classic.
It is.
It's that version.
It was a classic twice.
Right. And then Puffy replayed it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then somebody else replayed it.
It's been sampled a bunch, yeah.
A bunch of our licks and bass line, Denny's bass lines have been sampled by. I sign off on stuff all the time still.
Yeah.
And that's a real important thing to know about for musicians and producers. Try to own your publishing.
Yeah.
Publishing has saved my life.
Yes.
Because I've been able to treat my intellectual property like I would my real property. Like I've been able to get loans on my publishing.
No kidding.
I've been able to refi my publishing just like I would my house.
Wow.
Yeah. So own your publishing. I'm so lucky now that people have sampled and replayed because now my catalog is tripled and doubled in capacity.
Yeah.
So when I Got 5 on it gets played, I get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tone Capone and Mike Marshall and the Looney.
I think David Bowie was one of the first to lease his entire catalog for 10 years, for a decade.
Right.
For multi-millions of dollars.
Right.
It was a
He leased his catalog.
His entire
and then
catalog.
he gets it back. They pay to lease it to use it.
And he gets it back.
Yeah, and gets it back after 10 years.
David Bowie's the richest rocker in rock history.
Man.
The richest rocker in rock history.
So it's so important. See, and these are things I was learning along the way. David Lombard was telling me, my sister Tony McElroy Granberry was telling me at the time, you have to own certain things, helping me with business parts, and get my eyes open. Luckily, I have an innate ability to be conservative with my money and kind of see 5 years out for everything. So I'm always like, I got to save my money and do this. But I'm also looking at things like, how much are these songs really worth?
Yeah.
How much money are they generating? What's the mechanical? What's the publishing? What's this? What's the when they use it for a movie? How much do we get? So I'm like, oh, how much does the record company get? How much do I get? What's the royalty rate? You know, I'm calculating all the time.
Yeah.
So when we're writing songs, somebody told me in passing, oh, you better keep your publishing. So I looked into publishing. I started thinking like, yeah, I heard that before. People getting ripped off of their publishing. So I went and looked it up. I'm like, you can make a lot of money with your songs, especially if they're classic songs that get used over and over and over and over. If they get played on the radio, you get paid for that. If they get played in the jukebox, you get paid. If somebody makes sheet music of your music, your song, you get paid for that. All these things, television commercials, you get paid. So if you're not aware of this and you let somebody take your intellectual property away from you and take advantage of you, you're really doing yourself a major disservice by not having that knowledge and knowing it from the beginning going in, because that's how a lot of guys lose.
I heard the Romantics sold What I Like About You outright for $60,000.
Right.
Man.
Just covered by my daughter's favorite group, 5SOS. And it's getting played all over the place.
Man.
How much money has
Group
Danny
from
Elfman
Australia.
made for the theme song to The Simpsons?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
He
Right,
must
that's
make
what-
a gold mine out of that.
That's what I'm saying. So you have to be mature in your concept and your vision if you want to work in the music industry.
Right.
Working in music is one thing, but working in the industry,
That's a different discipline.
and capitalizing on your talent and your investment into yourself and all this time you're putting into this. I can't go work somewhere else now.
No, it's too late for that.
It's too late. I
Yeah.
can't go get, I could go get a 9-to-5, but it's not going to pay me what I need.
Right.
You know what I mean? The type of 9-to-5, I have to do this. I have to, my hustle has to be on another level and be many layered because I don't know which window is going to open.
Right.
So it might be the music, the musician side opening, playing on somebody's track, an indie rock label might need some keyboards. I'll do it. Bam. My publishing. Somebody wants to sample something. They want to pay me this much. No, I want this much. I got to negotiate that. Wham. Somebody like my wife who's a TV producer might say, I got this artist. I want to do a documentary or a TV show on Big Frida, but we need help with the music. I'm going to jump on that conceptually and music-wise. I have to be varied in my thinking, knowing that when I do this stuff, what it's going to generate and what options it's going to open for me. So being a musician now, for me, is way different than it was in 1984.
Yeah.
Like Floyd Mayweather says, it's layers to this. When he told Adrian Bronner when he got beat by Maidana, got knocked out. He was coming up a boxer, talking all kind of trash, but he didn't know about that upper tier of the veteran boxer that knew how to knock you on your butt. I'm kind of like up like that in my knowledge of how to survive in the music industry. So I've been able to survive taking tidbits of knowledge from wherever I go.
And
that's why people think you're in the cave on the mountain.
That's right.
Because you're way the fuck up there.
That's absolutely
Drop
true.
of knowledge,
Man.
like keep
This
your
is you right
publishing.
now. You are stroking that white beard.
Hold your publishing.
That's right.
Hold your publishing. Do good business. Do good, honest business.
Let's start with practice.
Man,
Practice.
Practice.
But you know what, though? I've seen 1 million talented musicians.
Yeah.
I've seen 1 million plus broke talented musicians.
Man.
So
Yeah.
I realized after a time, there's other skill involved in this.
Yeah.
You know, I've also seen musicians super talented that became self-destructive because they weren't living a full life and got caught up in the industry.
And it chewed them up.
It chewed them up. So my music feeds me. The music industry does not feed me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to be balanced. You got to be knowledgeable. And you got to have a certain personality to be able to deal with this stuff and be a strong person to deal with the rejection.
Yeah.
Because I grew out a lot of humiliation too. It wasn't all good.
Right.
You know, it was times when I tried to play stuff and got laughed at. I tried to play some Prince or tried to play something else and dudes that were in the room started laughing.
I think discipline has played a big role in your success, though. Having witnessed a lot of it, I've seen that. You've always been disciplined, and you and Denny, we were talking about that earlier when we had breakfast about how you guys always had a schedule of coming to the studio and then leaving the studio at a certain time. You wouldn't just be
and
here.
then go do something else.
Go do something else.
I might go get on my keyboards at home.
Yeah.
TV is on. I'm watching TV, talking, but I'm on the keyboard. But it's discipline. It's the personality.
Yeah.
It's the drive. It's the honor that you learn from other things outside of music. It's the vision that you have, seeing something coming that you can avoid. And then my personality is, like I was saying, I've had a lot of humiliating moments that changed my life. Like when somebody laughed at me or said, you can't play or he can't play. What? Yeah. Inside, I may not have said anything to the person because they may have been a better musician than me.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to show you.
Right.
You're not going to get away with that. I don't care if it takes 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait you. I'm going to develop and I'm going to do something. And so when I'm practicing or I'm on the keyboard, that's in my mind.
It's stirring in the back.
It's stirring.
That's that competitive spirit.
It is. That's stirring.
I was just going to say, how do people laugh at that and not get knocked out? But now,
but being a martial artist, being a real martial artist, I've studied martial arts since I was like 9 or 10 years old, off and on. Last 20 years, very consistent. I know when to pick my battles.
Right.
I know. I haven't been in a fight since the 9th grade.
Yeah.
I've been in many confrontations. I've been in many situations where I could go off. I've even had to put my hands on a few people. But once I put my hands, it was over.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a fight. It was just like boom, and they knew, okay, this dude.
This is over.
Something else is going on with this dude. He ain't the type of brother I thought he was.
Yeah.
So all of that, contributes to the way I approach music and everything else in my life. But being a martial artist, I know how to pick my battles.
Yeah.
Me putting my hands on somebody is a last resort, you know, because I don't know what they know. I don't know what they have. I'm respectful and humble in my approach with people. And martial arts taught me that from way back because I started off getting kicked in the balls by little girls. So that taught me from the bat that you respect.
Don't know.
You don't know. I had my hands up high and my legs spread out and somebody kicked me in the balls. So I'm like, I don't know who knows what.
Right.
I'm getting beat up by girls. Little Chinese skinny dude beat me up in the tournament. So I got to respect everybody. And martial arts, music somewhat, but more martial arts taught me how to respect people. I learned other cultures. I sat down and ate lumpia when I was a kid. I'm like, what's this? My Filipino partner's like, hey, this is lumpia. And we're at the tournaments, at the Kaja Camp,
That should change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So it gave me broader perspective, personality to deal with all this stuff and to be able to recognize what's important and what's not important.
Right.
The music is important. Not letting people take advantage of you is important. And learning how to capitalize on your own worth is important. And your worth isn't built on public perception.
Right.
Your worth is built on what you do for yourself and how you relate to people and the energy that you create when you interact with people. That's the main thing I learned. I don't care about the hype of music industry. I don't really care. That doesn't feed me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've learned over the years through Denny, through all the people I've come in contact with, Ed Eckstein, Carlos Stanfield, Sylvia Rohn, David Lombard, all the girls from In Vogue, Mike Marshall, Tony, different accountants, lawyers, different martial artists. I've learned to keep things in perspective when it comes to my music and what it means to the rest of the world and what it means to me and what the hype machine is all about. So I've been able to survive and pretty much be happy and still do music on the highest level.
On your own terms.
On my own terms, because I approached it a certain way.
Right.
I never lived above my means. I always tried to keep my stuff straight, stay healthy, always tried to be fair with people, not just take advantage of people, protect myself from certain things, certain ills of the music industry.
Yeah.
So I'm a lucky guy. I'm a real lucky guy. And I'm a real blessed guy. And, you create a certain type of energy, I think, and you stay out of trouble. That's what I think I've done, because I'm trouble. You know what I mean? I'm trouble. People that know me from way back know I'm trouble.
You identified that at a young age.
Yeah, if you ignite me, I'm trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to get ignited by anything. Some people get to see that part of me when they get me to a certain point, but people rarely see that. Tommy's cool, blah, 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 blah. So, you didn't know Tommy when he was little, man.
Right.
Or you didn't. I saw him, somebody said something crazy to his wife, and I saw him grab dude by the throat. So my personality is such that I've learned over the years to keep things in perspective. So I think that's my greatest strength, and recognizing my weaknesses. So I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room, so I try to get around smart people. I know I'm not the best musician, so I surround myself with people that do things better than me that I can't do. And then I figure out how I can be important to those people. Mm-hmm. And then I know I'm humble enough to know that I don't know everything. So I listen when people give me good advice and try to go research it and be intelligent about my approach to things with the information that people give me. And you can be black, white, gay, straight, Asian. I'm going to respect you on a level until you fall out of that level. There's layers to this. If you can stay on my level, we're cool. As soon as you start talking outside of your neck, I'm out.
Man.
So,
Thanks for bringing us into your mountain cave, man.
Yeah, man. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. It's an honor, man. I listened to the show.
Man, thank you.
We love that.
This is cool that you guys are doing it for people that don't do a lot of interviews and some of the unsung guys behind the scene that people should know about and should be able to access. Because people like James, people like Dwayne's, other people that you guys are interviewing have a lot of knowledge, and younger musicians can really, take from that and use it. So this is an honor to be able to do this.
Man, thank you.
That's our honor too. I mean, you shaped our lives for crying out loud.